Sunday morning. South London. A man is walking his dog. Ordinary street. Ordinary neighborhood. The kind of place where nothing happens. The dog, a black and white mongrel, pulls toward a hedge and starts sniffing at something wrapped in newspaper, sitting at the base of it. The man bends down, peels back the paper, and stares at what's inside, because what's inside is the most famous trophy in the world. The trophy that had been stolen 7 days earlier. The trophy that had triggered a government crisis, a national humiliation, and a Scotland Yard investigation that had hit a complete dead end. The trophy that FIFA had already begun making contingency plans to replace. Found by a dog. Under a hedge. On a Sunday morning walk. The trophy first, you need to understand what the Jules Rimet Trophy actually was. Not what it represented, you probably know that. The World Cup. The biggest sporting event on Earth. I mean what it physically was. It was a small gold statuette, about 30 centimeters tall, depicting Nike, the Greek goddess of victory, holding up an octagonal cup. It weighed around 4 kilograms. It had been made in 1930 by a French sculptor named Abel Lafleur, and it was named after Jules Rimet, the FIFA president who had turned the World Cup from an idea into a reality. It had its own history before any of this. During World War II, the Italian vice president of FIFA had hidden it from the Nazis in a shoebox under his bed for the entire duration of the war. It had survived that. It had survived 6 tournaments. It had been lifted by Uruguay, Italy twice, and Brazil twice, and it was about to be lifted, everybody hoped, for the first time by England. England in 1966. The country that invented football, hosting the tournament for the first time, with a genuine chance of winning it. The anticipation was enormous. The preparations had been years in the making, and 4 months before a ball was kicked, someone stole the trophy. The exhibition, it is March 1966. The Football Association has agreed to put the Jules Rimet Trophy on public display at an exhibition being held at Central Hall, Westminster, a large Victorian building in the shadow of the Houses of Parliament. The exhibition, officially, is a stamp show. A philately exhibition, the kind of event that attracts collectors and enthusiasts and not a great deal of security attention. The FA had been persuaded that displaying the trophy would be good publicity ahead of the tournament. Get people excited. Get the public engaged. The trophy had been displayed publicly before without incident. What could go wrong? The trophy was placed in a display case. There were security guards. There were other valuable items on display. It was a public building, in the middle of London, surrounded by people. On Sunday, the 20th of March 1966, while the exhibition was open and people were walking around, someone walked up to the display case, removed the Jules Rimet Trophy, hid it under their coat, and walked out of the building. Nobody saw them leave. Nobody noticed the trophy was missing for several hours. Scotland Yard, the theft, made front pages immediately. The story had everything. National embarrassment, catastrophic security failure. 4 months before England were supposed to host the greatest sporting event on the planet, and the centerpiece of that event had been stolen from under the noses of the people responsible for it. The FA were humiliated. The government was furious. Scotland Yard launched an investigation. Then, 4 days after the theft, a letter arrived. It was addressed to Joe Mears, the chairman of the Football Association. The ransom demand was £15,000. The letter instructed Mears to place an advertisement in a London newspaper if he wanted to negotiate, and threatened that if the money wasn't paid, the trophy would be, and this is the detail that makes it feel real melted down. Contact was made. A meeting was arranged. The plan was a sting Mears would show up with the money, Scotland Yard would be watching, and whoever came to collect would lead them to the trophy. On the 28th of March, a man arrived to collect the ransom. His name was Edward Betchley. He was arrested immediately. And then he told police something that made everything worse. He said, he was just a middleman. He didn't know where the trophy was. He'd been hired by someone else to collect the money and pass it on. He couldn't or wouldn't say who. Scotland Yard had their man. They didn't have their trophy. Pickles, the 27th of March, 1966. 1 week after the theft, one day before Betchley was arrested. A man named David Corbett is walking his dog in Beulah Hill, a quiet street in Upper Norwood, South London. The dog's name is Pickles. He is a black and white mongrel, part collie, part something else, entirely unremarkable in every way except for what he is about to do. Pickles pulls toward a hedge at the side of the road and starts sniffing at something on the ground. Corbett goes to look. Wrapped in a piece of newspaper, bound with string, sitting in the mud at the base of the hedge, is a package. Corbett picks it up, unwraps it. Inside is a small gold statuette, a figure holding an octagonal cup. An engraving on the base reads, Brazil, 1962. David Corbett, 33 years old, a Thames River worker from South London, is holding the Jules Rimet Trophy. He took it to a police station. Officers initially didn't believe him. They thought it was a replica. When they established it was genuine, the reaction moved fast. The trophy was authenticated. The FA were contacted. The press were informed. Within hours, Pickles was the most famous dog in England. What happened next? Pickles appeared on television. He appeared in newspapers across the world. He received fan mail, actual letters addressed to the dog. He was given a year's supply of dog food by a pet company. He was taken to the celebration dinner after England won the tournament, where he was reportedly allowed to lick the plates. He starred in a film called The Spy with the Cold Nose. He was, for a period in 1966, more famous than most of the England squad. David Corbett received a reward of £3,000 from the FA, a significant sum. The tournament went ahead. England beat West Germany 4-2 in the final at Wembley. G.F. Hurst scored a hat trick. Bobby Moore lifted the Jules Rimet Trophy, the actual one, the real one, the one Pickles found under a hedge above his head in front of 96,000 people. The tournament is 4 months away. FIFA and the FA have to make a decision. Do they commission a replica and hope nobody notices or cares? Do they delay the tournament? Do they cancel it? A replica was actually being made, quietly, as a precaution. So the practical answer, probably, is that the tournament happens with a fake trophy being presented at the end, and that the image of it matters more than people realize. The 1966 World Cup is the tournament that made football in England. It is the moment a generation fell in love with the game. It is the foundation myth of the national team. Bobby Moore, clean and immaculate, holding the trophy above his head. That image is one of the most reproduced in English sporting history. What does it mean if that image involves a replica? What does it mean if the whole country knows the real trophy is sitting in a criminal's attic somewhere, possibly already melted? The Jules Rimet Trophy was stolen again in 1983 from a display case in Rio de Janeiro. By then, it had been permanently awarded to Brazil, who had won it 3 times. That time, it was never recovered. It almost certainly was melted down. So the trophy Pickles found under a hedge in South London, the one Bobby Moore lifted at Wembley, no longer exists. But for 17 years between those 2 thefts, it sat in a cabinet, real and intact, and exactly where it was supposed to be. Because a dog went for a walk on a Sunday morning. Because he stopped at a hedge. Because whatever was wrapped in newspaper at the base of it smelled interesting enough to investigate. Pickles died in 1967, less than a year after his moment of glory. He got his lead tangled in a tree while chasing a cat and didn't survive it. He was given a hero's burial. He deserved one.